What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 3. Yes, episode 3 of the Cool Your Jets podcast. I am your wonderful host, Dzuve. It is Friday, April 3rd, 2026. Good Friday at that, and we have a ton to get into since the last episode here. We have Falcons dropping new uniforms. We got the San Francisco Giants taking 2 out of 3 against the San Diego Padres, and getting their first home win of the season against the New York Mets, or a New York team in general, I should say. We have the Sharks on a 4-game heater that have propelled them into that number 2 wildcard spot, tied with Nashville, tied with the LA Kings, but currently as it stands, they have that number 2 wildcard spot. And we end this with some Lakers talk. Back-to-back 50-win seasons. We've got them clinching a postseason berth and clinching a Pacific with a ton of player accolades in between all across the board. So this is a really special episode that I'm excited to bring to you. As I've made the joke of this is being sponsored to you by nobody. It still is, but at the same time, I kind of want to take a different approach for the beginning of this particular episode and bring some attention and some awareness to a fellow content creator, but more importantly, a friend of mine who's been nothing but supportive on my new journey. He's been an inspiration for me to get this thing rolling. He's given me tips, tricks, advice, everything and more, but he has a really special page. So my buddy is a teacher, a coach, a DJ, an ultra endurance athlete, but more importantly, he's my good friend, Jonathan Jaworski. I don't think I've ever called him Jonathan, nor have I called him John in the 10 years that I've known him. He does go by Jaws. So if you go and follow his page, which everything will be included in this episode for you to go check him out. When you give him a follow, give him a like, give him a comment, tell him Dzuve sent you. I'm sure he's going to really appreciate that. But his page is really special. So for anybody out there who's maybe battled addiction in their life, Jaws is going on 6 years sober of not drinking any alcohol. Not only is he figuratively taking it one step at a time, he is literally taking it one step at a time. What do I mean by that? As I mentioned, he is an ultra endurance athlete. And as of June 8th of this year, Jaws has completed 2 50K ultra marathons, 8 50-mile ultra marathons, 2 100K ultra marathons, 3 100-mile ultra marathons, and he's wrapped it up with the Tahoe 200-mile ultra marathon.
No pain. This is how we grow. This is how we grow. Push yourself when it hurts. Don't give the pain a voice. Come on. Push. Push, you're a bad man. You're a bad man. Come on. Come on.
This guy is an absolute beast. When he sets his mind to something, he goes and gets it. So I couldn't be more proud of him and his journey and the messages that he spreads on his particular platform. Why am I telling you all this? Because he's going to have his most difficult journey ahead in 2027, March 15th of 2027, where it's going to be the most mentally and physically demanding run of his life. But it's the most inspirational run that he's going to be doing. And I bring this to everybody's attention as this might be a little bit more difficult for me to kind of get out. Jaws announced in March that he was going to do this 385-mile run from starting in Lupton, New Mexico, going down Route 66 across Arizona, and finishing in Topot, California. Now, he's not doing this just for fun, ladies and gentlemen. When Jaws announced this, he released a video that showed a lot of vulnerability for him, which I give him nothing but respect for doing that, because when you do this type of content creation, putting yourself out there for one is already as difficult as it is, but being vulnerable is just as difficult. And I want to make sure I do this story justice for not only him, but for his best friend, Mark, and making sure that this awareness is brought with the utmost care. Jaws said a great story that was a powerful story. In June of 2000, his best friend, Mark, was 12 years old and diagnosed with a rare form of pediatric cancer called neuroblastoma. Anybody who has had cancer impacted with their life, not only family-wise, but also friend-wise, telling a 12-year-old that they have 6 months to live is is heartbreaking. And I never got the chance to meet Mark. Jaws is from Illinois. I am from California. But the stories that he shares with Mark and what he shares in this particular video of his announcement is truly powerful. I can't imagine what it would be like for a 12-year-old to say that they have 6 months to live, let alone having that family, being told that their child has 6 months to live at 12 years old, and the friends around him being told that this guy has 6 months to live. But Mark was a fighter, and Mark fought not only for the 6 months, but he fought for 6 years. So he ended up fighting for 6 years before the illness took over, which is an incredible feat in its own for him to continue to last that long and fight for as long as he did. In that 6-year time frame, though, however, Jaws explains an incredible story about a particular Christmas and the kids not really necessarily having some toys. So in that 6-year time frame, Mark donated tens of thousands of toys to the Children's Memorial Hospital in Chicago, Illinois, to go along with raising hundreds of thousands of dollars for cancer research. And what Jaws is now going to do is run in his honor. And again, I won't get too much more into the video specifically because I want his words and his message to, be said on his platform. But there is a particular quote that he did go ahead and mention that just explains who Jaws is as a person and what his mindset is. He mentioned that Mark suffered for 6 years, so he's going to be suffering for 6 days. What do I mean by that? He's going to be running the 385 miles for 6 days. So not only, like I said before, is it going to be a mental journey, but it's going to be the most physical journey of his life. And if anybody can do it, it's this man. So please go ahead and give him a like, a comment, a shout out. But this really hits home for me in the sense that cancer has affected the people around me, my family and friends. My grandfather passed away from colon cancer when I was at a young age, not the professional baseball player. My other grandfather passed away when I was a young lad due to colon cancer. One of my best friend's dad battled cancer for as long as I've known him and ended up losing his battle, who is an incredible man and such a great father figure for all those around. And most recently, I don't want to use an I statement for this particular explanation. I'm going to use a we statement because my childhood friends and I, we lost one of our good friends July of 2021 to cancer before he turned the age of 28. And the same friend in our friend group lost his older brother within 6 months at the age of 31 due to cancer. So this definitely hits hard for me. And for all those out there that are listening or watching, cancer's a motherfucker. So for Jaws to be able to go out and do this and provide a foundation to raise money to continue to get the research done and get this thing rolling, I tip my cap to him, and I truly have the utmost respect and appreciation for his journey and what's to come. So, Jaws, I know you're listening to this. I just got one thing to say, buddy. Let's go fucking get it, all right? Let's go fucking get it. So, I love you, brother. Whew, all right. Now, on a little bit more of a different note now, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. We're going to start with the Falcons dropping some new uniforms, which is about damn time. So, the Atlanta Falcons released the new uniforms that they will be wearing for the foreseeable future, and they are crisp, they are clean, and they are fresh. And I am excited to see them live or see them game day, rocking and rolling in the stadium. It just encompasses everything for this team now going forward with a fresh start. As I mentioned in the previous episode, they have a new coaching staff. They have a new front office. They've got some new players. Everything is going to be just a fresh start, and what better way than to have some jerseys that are going to be fitting that new start. My initial thought was these are way better than the previous ones. But there was some nitpickiness that I had to it. I would have liked to see them incorporate a black uniform, not necessarily just the throwbacks that are the best uniforms in the NFL, but to incorporate a different black uniform. I wanted them to go with some red primaries again. I do have PTSD with some red uniforms, being as it may that they released those horrendous gradient uniforms that had like the red up top that blended in with the black at the bottom. I don't know, but those gradient uniforms were probably the worst jerseys in the NFL, and I have PTSD because those were the uniforms they wore against the Detroit Lions when I had that moment of weakness and they blew the lead. So yeah, I'm glad that this is a fresh start. I asked one of my Falcons buddies what he thought right away in that, and he said he loved them, and they will grow on you. So after a full 24 hours of sleeping on it, yes, they have fully grown on me, and I'm excited that they are going to be releasing these, and I'm excited that they are going to be rocking these going forward instead of the previous ones. I would have liked to see, though, some gray pants to go along, maybe some black uniforms, and maybe a full black face mask for the look. But overall, like I said, this is a huge upgrade from the previous bad luck, bad vibes uniforms that we had on the team. And so I'm definitely going to get a jersey, but I'm curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are on 32-year-old men now getting new jerseys, because it's been a topic of discussion of having, I guess, another man's name on your back. So I've kind of been battling that to see what I'm going to be wanting to do. I don't know what's worse, if getting somebody who's, I guess, younger than you and having their jersey, or doing a customized jersey with your name on the back. I don't know what looks worse, people, so I'm curious to hear your comments. I do have one person who is younger than me that I bought their jersey with, and that's Kyle Pitts. I bought it in the stadium right there, my first game in Atlanta. I bought it because, one, we share the same birthday. Two, he wears number 8, which was the first number I wore playing football. We both wear glasses and contacts, so we're pretty much the same person, except he's just significantly bigger, has a little bit more melanin, and in the NFL. But that was the only jersey I've had so far that's somebody younger than me. So there are some people I would buy, but I'm curious to see, am I weird for thinking that? Is it kind of an ick, if you will, buying jerseys or getting the customized ones? So either way, please let me know what your thoughts are, as I'm excited to get a new jersey regardless. It's just going to be depending on who I will be getting. So, but shout out to the Falcons and their social media team as well. I do have to kind of say that they played the funny April Fool's prank on the fans and what they decided to do. So for anybody who is not familiar with the Atlanta Falcons, when they had the Georgia Dome and they were getting ready to demolish it, blow it up, and they had a number of fans from afar to go and pay their respects and watch it, pretty much be blown up in that instance. And typical just Atlanta Falcons fashion, as it's getting ready, they're getting ready to launch the dynamites. A bus just drives right by the line of sight and gets in everybody's way as it's just going off. So what did the Atlanta Falcons social media team decide to do? Well, it was always planned to have the jerseys released yesterday on April 2nd. But of course, on April Fool's Day, they're going to make it seem like, oh, we're going to release it. So as soon as they show a video, it's Bijan throwing down the cape and showing the new mannequins with the jersey on there. As soon as he's getting ready to do that, they have the bus inserted in that video so we as fans don't see it. So would have liked to see them read the room a little bit better, but at the same time, I did tip my cap because that was a pretty hilarious April Fool's prank before the reveal. So shout out to the social media intern for coming up with that and doing it. It was pretty funny, and we ended up getting the reveal yesterday. So big things to come for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm excited. As I said, this is a new year for them. Rocking the new jerseys is going to be just another fresh start that we're going to be able to get to the playoffs, win the division, and make some noise. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we have the San Francisco Giants taking 2 out of 3 against the San Diego Padres, winning the series against the San Diego Padres in their barn. And it's a team that we've struggled with for the last couple of years. So to be able to go in there and get the 2 wins, would have liked to see a sweep, but of course, beggars can't be choosers, and to at least get the series win was huge for the momentum going forward, especially after the disastrous opening day weekend that they had at home. The first game was a nail biter that shouldn't be a nail biter, but Landon Roop was on the mound and gave us the performance that we needed. Landon Roop went ahead and went 6 innings, 7 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hits, but no runs. And he gave us a performance that we absolutely needed to get this thing rolling. So he's coming off injury from last year. So to see him go in there and pitch the way he did against a really good Padres lineup, that was exciting to see. We had Willy Adames in the leadoff spot for only the 4th time in his career that he was leading off, and he started off the game with a base hit. We also had Harrison Bader, yes, the Stallion himself, get the first home run for him as a San Francisco Giant, but the first home run for the team, as the San Francisco Giants have hit plenty more now since then, but he got us on the board and got it rocking and rolling. Hitting it 107 off the bat, people, was an absolute bomb to left field. And I don't know what everybody's take is on bat flips. I personally love it. I think with the whole Dominican Republic, what they were doing in the World Baseball Classic when they would hit an absolute nuke and bat flipping, getting the boys hyped, getting it rock and rolling, I think it's great. But it's also kind of refreshing sometimes to see when you just hit a no-doubter and Bader just immediately goes into his trot. Doesn't bat flip, doesn't do anything, just smokes it 107 off the bat, immediately goes to first and starts rounding the bases. So I thought that was pretty cool, especially because he struggled in the Yankees series hitting, and getting, like I said, the first home run for the season was a huge momentum swing for us and a game changer. And Giants went up 3-0. Going into that particular game, we had Keaton Winn, another guy who's been coming off injury but has pitched in the 3 appearances that he's pitched now, two in the Yankee series and 1 in that particular game. He has come in and he's absolutely held the fort down. So in the 3 appearances that he's had, he's pitched 3 innings. He's had 6 strikeouts. He's had 2 walks and no hits. So seeing him come back, he's battled a number of injuries in his time as a Giant too. So seeing him battle through those injuries and come back and pitch the way he's had so far out of the bullpen, it's really cool to see, man, because anytime mentally that you're just dealing with injuries year after year after year, it can be draining on you as a player. And he's come in and completely been the best part of our bullpen as of now. And seeing him strike out the side in the 8th inning of a 3-0 game to put us in a position to get a shutout was all we needed. Here's where I'm going to be a little bit negative, though. And it's really just going to be with this player. So I do want to keep in mind, this isn't an attack on his character as a human being. He does have a family. But we have to launch an internal investigation with Ryan Walker. He has to have some kind of blackmail. He has to have some kind of dirt on high up Giants people in the organization. He has to, because there's no fucking way that this guy should be closing out baseball games anymore after his fucking performance of last year. There's absolutely no fucking way that he should even be on this team going forward. This guy needs to get off the team yesterday. And for some reason, we keep throwing him in there. And he keeps taking the life out of the fans. He takes the life out of the team because he is just not a great pitcher by any means. Now, Yoel Peguero will be the closer when he comes back from injury in a couple weeks. I understand that. But that doesn't mean that Ryan Walker should be into that fucking position at all. So why do I say that? Well, because he goes into the 9th inning. He starts warming up. And I texted a couple buddies of mine, and I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. You have to be kidding me that this guy is now going to be coming in the game to blow it. He's going to blow it. And what does he do? The first 5 pitches are balls. Throws 5 straight balls to start the game. Walks the first batter, Tatis, and it's the top of the lineup. So Cronenworth's on first. Tatis is up next. Finally gets a strike on a 1-1 count. The umpire bails him out on a high strike that Tatis does not challenge, which I thought was a little bit shocking that he didn't do it, because it would have been definitely overturned. And Tatis ends up striking out. Next batter's Machado, grounds out. So we have 2 outs now with a shutout. We're looking to get out of this game. And what does he do in typical Ryan Walker fashion? Hangs a slider to a lefty, Jackson Merrill, who says, oh, this looks good. I'm going to send this to the right field bleachers, and hits an absolute fucking tank, a no-doubter to right field to bring it within 1. And that's where the nerves start going again. Luckily, we finally got out of that inning. But my huge frustration with this guy is you have 2 pitches you throw, a sinker-slider combo that is easy to be picked up by professional hitters, dude. You had an entire offseason to work on maybe a 3rd pitch. From your arm angle, a changeup would have been nice. Maybe learn to throw a cutter. Learn to throw something else that isn't 2 easily identifiable pitches from major league hitters. But no. He still just throws his same sinker-slider combo that continues to get picked up and continues to get hit across the board. So, with that now, and my Ryan Walker rant, Tony V got his first win as a MLB manager, which was so cool to see. The boys were celebrating him in the locker room, which was awesome, and finally got the monkey off his back for the first win. So it was really cool to see Tony V get his win as a manager. It's really cool to see the Giants pull it out, even though they should have had a shutout. Would have been really cool to see, but they still got the dub. And going into game 2, that momentum did carry over as we had Logan Webb on the mound going against Yerman Marquez, and Willie leadoff hits a home run to start the game.
Adames hits one high, deep down the line, into the corner, and out of here.
Gets his first on the board, which was cool to see because he ended up going 4 for 5 that game with 2 RBIs in that leadoff spot. Absolutely played an incredible job on the defensive side, but most importantly, we got that offensive production. Was one of his better games yet, definitely of this season, but as a overall Giant, going 4 for 5 with a home run and 2 RBIs was great to see from leader on our team, a guy that we had the highest paid contract with in Giants history when we signed him. And I know he's had a slow start, but again, he had 30 home runs last year, which is the first time a Giants player had done that in 20-something years since Barry Bonds. So it's cool to see him kind of finish strong and be in a new spot in the leadoff, which normally he's not accompanied of doing. And he now has been doing that going forward. So it's going to be interesting to see Tony V keeping him in that spot. Since the San Diego series, he's been a leadoff every single game. But it was really cool to see him, start the game off with a home run and get the boys rolling. We had Matt Chapman go yard for his first home run, too, for the season. We had Jung-Hoo Lee getting 3 RBIs in a game. He loves playing in San Diego, by the way. He gets hits, he gets RBIs. He's actually gotten some home runs in Petco. So it was really cool to see him just making contact and getting some really clutch hits for us in a time where we needed to hit the most. Casey Schmidt, though, East Lake's finest, Chula Vista's finest, coming back to San Diego. And the 4th inning is what I want to get into specifically, where in the top of the 4th, he gets an RBI base hit to score a run to let us go 4-3 in that particular case. But most importantly, in the bottom half of that inning, there was a runner on second. Ball was hit down the line to first base. He makes a incredible stop to get the out at first, saving a run, keeping that runner going from second to third. So it kept him from scoring, and then we ended up getting out of the inning with no runs in that instance. So not only did he get an RBI in the inning, he saved a run scored. So that's what we got him for. We got him for his defense. He's an absolute utility man. We can play him anywhere in the infield. So to see him continue to strive and get the bat going too was really cool to see in his return home from San Diego. Not that he hasn't come back home. Obviously, he's been a Giant for a number of years now, but anytime he comes back to San Diego, he's got some family and friends out there to go watch him play. Will Logan Webb was on the mound. Again, he finished strong with 6 innings, 3 hits, gave up 3 runs, but again, 4 walks and 5 strikeouts. So his unfortunate 3rd inning struggle where he walked the first 2 batters led them to get the 3 runs. But again, in typical Webby fashion, as I mentioned in the previous episode, gave a bunch of runs in the inning, but after that settled down and held the fort down to get 6 innings total for us that game. So he's going to be our workhorse that we definitely need to continue to have that consistency. We need him to pitch as a Cy Young candidate that he really is. And for him to get his first win of the year too was really cool to see. So shout out to Webby on that for battling through the inning and getting it out and helping out our bullpen to not have to use so many arms. So now we get to game 3. This is where we unfortunately had the struggles. Adrian Hauser got welcomed into Giants pitching fraternity with pitching a decent gem, but not having the defense or run support in an outing for him. So first inning, we had an error by Casey Schmidt, leading to a run, and then Chapman got the error shortly after, but I still think that Casey Schmidt probably should have had another error at first base that scored another unearned run for the Padres. And there's the clip of the mound visit that was going and Chapman looking at Casey Schmidt telling him to catch the fucking ball. And media was kind of running with that, thinking like, oh, is there locker room issues now with the Giants? Are they going to be, crumbling, domino effect? No, none of that's the case. Chappie and Schmidt are boys. But at the same time, Chapman's a leader on our team. And he's the best defensive third baseman in the MLB. And what he's trying to do is set the tone that if this team wants to go ahead and have those postseason aspirations, they have to not make little mistakes like that are going to be costly against good teams, that are going to capitalize against them. And so, yeah, he's telling Casey, let's lock it in. Like, he knows he's one of the best defensive players that we also have on the team. I didn't think the throw was that bad. It just maybe looked like he didn't see it as well because he started his stretch and the ball just went like right over his glove. So they gave Chapman the error, but I think that Schmidt could have definitely had 2 of them. But even with those struggles, Hauser still was able to go 5 innings. He did give up 7 hits, but only 1 earned run. He had 1 walk and 4 strikeouts in his first outing as a Giant. And then we were still, though, it was a 3-1 game. You know, we still had a 3-1 game going into the 8th inning. Couldn't get anything going in the top half of the 8th, and then unfortunately that's where the wheels fell off in the bottom half of the 8th. Jose Buto came in again in a back-to-back. He pitched the previous game, and on the 9-3 game he came in, and then they threw him in the bottom half of the 8th, and unfortunately that's where the wheels fell off, where the Giants ended up having 4 runs scored against them to have it 7-1, and they just couldn't amount anything else going forward. So did not end on a great note for them, but at the same time, as I mentioned, taking 2 out of 3 against San Diego was huge, and we saw the team rocking and rolling, making some great defensive plays. The bats started to get going. In game 2, they had 16 total hits. So we know the offense is there. It's got to click when it needs to, and we got to have more consistency there and not have 16 hits one game to go to, 1 hit up until I believe the 7th inning we had at that point. But Nick Pivetta was on the bump for San Diego, and he had a rough outing against Detroit, and he came back and absolutely, dominated us. So again, we have to at least take the positive with that and continue to build off the momentum, which they ended up doing last night against the New York Mets coming into town. Now the Mets dropped an extra inning game against St. Louis to end that series. So coming west, now they are playing us, where we had Robbie Ray on the mound against David Peterson. David Peterson's first outing went 5 1/3 with no runs given up. And he's had, if you look at his numbers against Giants hitters, he's had a ton of success against Giants hitters in years past. So this was a big game. We had Robbie Ray on the mound, and Robbie Ray wasn't his best, to say the least, but he still was able to go ahead and go 5 1/3. He had 3 walks. Those 3 walks happened to be the leadoff hitter of the first inning, the second inning, and I believe the 4th inning. But he still went 5 1/3, only gave up 3 hits, 2 runs, and he had 7 strikeouts. So the first inning he gave up a run, and then unfortunately gave up a home run to Vientos in the second. But that was all she wrote for the Mets in their offensive run support, if you will, going forward. So we needed a big outing from him too. So for him to come in and get the win for us, to help the momentum get the first home win, was huge. And from the offensive side of things, we had Luis Arias after we were down 1-0, 2-out RBI triple to go ahead and tie the game up, followed by Matt Chapman hitting an RBI double going oppo to make it 2-1. And then Jung Ho Lee again hit a grounder to first base, but with his speed and his hustle, you have to give him a lot of credit. He hustled it out and caused a ball that wasn't as good to Peterson covering first, and Peterson ended up dropping it. So they gave the error to Peterson, but at the same time, we were able to still go up 3-1 in the first half of the inning. So, and that 3-1 was the most runs the Giants scored in the previous 3 home games. So the fact that we were able to get 3 runs in the first was cool to see as a Giants fan, and just getting it rocking and rolling. So we also had Devers going yard. We had Bader and Jung Hoo Lee hitting sacrifices and playing baseball that we need to play baseball with. As an offensive approach, we had bases loaded. We just need to put the ball in play, and we had 2 big flyouts that ended up getting us 2 runs. So it was a lot of different types of ways that we were able to score against the Mets, which was really, really reassuring to see. And Ryan Walker came in the 6th this time and got bailed out by the star of the game. We're talking about, everybody, Mr. 916 himself, Mr. Jesuit High School legend, Mr. Wood Creek Little League legend for the family, the younger brother of a former Giants player, Mr. Daniel Susac. Daniel Susac won the job as the backup catcher in spring training because he was absolutely crushing it hitting, and he was making a ton of good plays behind the plate, and went 3 for 3 in his debut. The first 2 pitches he saw was all he needed because he got 2 base hits out of it. He drew a walk, and then he got another hit in the 8th inning to go ahead and solidify an incredible debut with his family out there, the Susaks, who are Wood Creek Little League legends, if you will, and 916 legends across the board. Again, his older brother Andrew was Buster's backup. They traded for Daniel this year to get him on the team. He was a first-round pick of the A's. He is going to be our backup catcher going forward, and what a debut to have. Why do I say he bailed out Ryan Walker? Well, because there's one out in the inning, 3-2 count to Luis Robert. Ryan Walker throws at what was called a ball, and Susak does his first challenge up top, and it barely nicks the strike zone to get the strikeout, which was huge because without this new challenging system, that would have been another runner on first base, and that could have been something easily a momentum swing for the Mets to go ahead and start generating some runs and getting some momentum. So I was happy to see Ryan Walker not come in the 8th inning or the 9th inning, but at the same time, he came in. So again, please get him the hell off this team. It's just not working out. I don't care if you have to do the Luis Matos effect where you trade him for cash and not get really a player in return. If anybody will take him. But again, we can't keep having this because every time he comes in, you can just see the look on Giants fans. And it's a disaster every time. But shout out to Daniel Susak. He was definitely the player of the game. Really cool to see a young guy come in with his debut and have that kind of debut that he did. And representing for Northern California, baby. Love to see it. So keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. For the rest of the series against the Mets, we have Tyler Mahle on the bump. Then we have Saturday, Landon Roop going. Finishing off with Sunday, Logan Webb on the hill. So 3 guys that we definitely want to take the series, hopefully get the first home series victory under our belt and propel ourselves to continue the momentum against the Phillies coming up. So great job by the Giants. Again, they're now 3-4 on the year, but we got a lot more work to do, and I'm excited to see where this goes. So enough Giants talk. We are now going to be transitioning to the wonderful San Jose Sharks, ladies and gentlemen. San Jose Sharks have done something that no other team in NHL history have done. What have they done? They went 3 games straight of scoring the go-ahead goal with less than 90 seconds left in the game. Never been done before in NHL history. They did it against Columbus this past Saturday with Igor Chernyshov getting that late time one-timer. They did it against the St. Louis Blues in the Cali Fins, by the way, which when we're talking about jerseys and sweaters that are growing on us, the Cali Fins have grown on me because the boys just keep rocking and rolling with it. But we had Gaudette go-ahead goal with 22 seconds left. And then we had the wonderful Alex Wenberg get the go-ahead goal against the Ducks with, again, I believe about 30 seconds left in the game. Wenberg got the go-ahead goal. We scored 2 goals, actually, within the last minute and a half of that Ducks game to go ahead and seal that victory along the way. And then, of course, yesterday, they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1, getting an empty netter at the end. So they're on a 4-game heater that have now, as I mentioned, propelled them into that wild card spot, the number 2 spot. So if the season were to end today, they're playing Colorado. And as I said before, Colorado might mop the floor with us, but I think that we might actually make some noise if we're able to continue to carry this out. Again, we have Nashville, who we are tied with now in that 2nd spot. We do have Chicago twice. We still have Edmonton. We still have Vancouver. So we still have some games that we have must wins and need to continue this hot streak going forward. But again, when it came to the Blues game, it was Askarof's return, and it was a barn burner to start the first period. It went up 3-2, so 5 total goals were scored in that first period with Wenberg, Celebrini getting on the board for the boys, and Askarov kind of defense didn't help him out so much, but he also made some incredible saves to continue to limit the damage going forward. So after the Blues game, he did have an incredible save. I should mention that in the 3rd period, about 16:40 left in the game, he sprawled out and completely just sold out to go ahead and get that save to continue any more damage going forward. And again, the Sharks pulled out the win and got Askarov's 20th victory as a Sharks goalie. Why is that important? Because this is the first Sharks goalie to get 20 wins in a season since Martin Jones did it back in 2019. So this is the first time a Sharks goalie in the decade of the 2020s that got 20 wins on the board. And coming back from injury, it was really cool. You could tell the boys were happy for him. The boys were excited. And it was really cool to see him actually, just show out and make some incredible saves when we got him from Nashville. He's going to be our future goalie, and he's had his ups and downs. This is his first real year as our goalie, and for going forward. So yeah, we're going to take some lumps with it, but there have been moments where he's shined, where he can be unstoppable and really come in and make some plays for us when we need it the most, make some big-time saves, which he did in the third period. Again, I know the score reflects it as a 5-4 win, but at the same time, I don't think all 4 of those goals were really a representation on him, more of just the defense kind of lacking on his part and putting him in bad positions. But really cool to see. I'm so happy for him. But also in that game, we had Celebrini get his 100th and 101 point on the season, became the 6th teenager in NHL history. Yes, 6th teenager in NHL history to go ahead and get 100 points in an NHL season. He's the MVP of the league, man. If you look at everybody else who's in contention, like the Nathan McKinnon, the Kucherovs, the McDavids, right? Those are absolutely studs and some of the best players in the NHL and best players in the world for that matter. So it's nothing necessarily a testament to them. They just have a better surrounding cast. So the point differential between Celebrini and the next person who's second most in points is 50 points. So Celebrini at that time had 101 points. The next closest person was Will Smith, Fresh Prince Will Smith. So without his impact and his contributions, it's easy to say the Sharks would probably be worse team in the league, maybe. I don't know, still Vancouver, but they definitely would not be fighting the way that they've been fighting and being even close in a playoff contention role. So that accolade and milestone for Celebrini is incredible, and he's carried that momentum since then going into the Ducks game. The Ducks game, ladies and gentlemen, was on TNT, so it was a national televised game in the Shark Tank against the Ducks, who again are another young team. They were first in the Pacific. They've got a lot of mojo going, and it was a scrappy game to start with. There was, I believe, 5 total penalties in the first period. 3 were on the Sharks, very sloppy, but our penalty kill unit stopped all 3 of them, which was really cool to see. Orlov did not have his best game and had an unfortunate slashing call, if you will. After Misa got out of the penalty box, it was within 5 seconds after we just killed a penalty. Orlov comes in and just completely slashes the hell out of the Ducks player, breaks his stick, goes back to the penalty box. Askarov again was goalie and did a great job just not breaking and giving up any goals during that particular power play in the first period. And we ended up getting a goal to go ahead and get on the board for us early, and then gave up a filthy goal by Ryan Poehling, who beat Orlov again on a play and then just went top cheddar against Askarov, which was just tough to begin with. So all that and more. The second period for the Sharks against the Ducks, I felt the Sharks controlled that second period for the most part. They played a lot in the offensive zone. They just weren't really getting anything to go in, and that was tough to see. And then of course Ducks go in and get a goal to take the lead going into the third period. So this is where the fun begins now in the third period for the Sharks. What was really funny and ironic to see is that in the third period to start with, at the top of the TNT broadcast, which by the way I think was arguably pretty trash, I would say, as far as like the picture quality. I don't know. I was streaming it from my Hulu Live site, but I was texting a buddy of mine who was saying I think it's tripping out too. It was weird strobe lights. I don't know. There's weird line. I don't know. The TNT broadcast in the Shark Tank was just not as good, but that's neither here nor there. In the third period, again, they show a stat at the top. The Anaheim Ducks were 23-0-1 going into the third period with a lead. And that one overtime loss happened the game before against Toronto, where they lost in overtime 5-4. But the Ducks essentially hadn't had a regular season loss leading at the third period. And then within 30 seconds, we get Smitty finding Celebrini with their wonderful chemistry to go ahead and go top shelf to tie the game 2-2. So that was a huge momentum swing for the boys. Now, unfortunately, again, power plays and other mishaps, the Ducks ended up taking the lead on a Troy Terry rebound that hit off Askarov, and then he just put it right in there. Again, another bad play by Orlov on this. Why am I kind of dogging Orlov a little bit? Well, 1, he did not have his best game, but 2, he did make some great plays down the stretch. So Going in, the time's ticking. We're down 3-2, trying to get this thing to overtime so at least maybe we can get a point out of it. We pull the goalie with 1.5 minutes left. Time is ticking. We have that extra skater on the ice. It's tic-tac-toe. We're trying to find the play. Orlov is at the top of the ice. Finds Celebrini. And what does Celebrini do? He does what he does best. Absolutely snipes it from a distance. Scores the tying goal.
Celebrini calling for it. A shot. He scores! Macklin Celebrini!
With less than 1.5 minutes left in the game. And then that just gets the momentum going for the boys. So we finally have it, but we did not. What Sharks fans know is what we didn't want to have happen is give up a late goal that they've done so many times throughout the year. So yes, we got the momentum to swing back to get the game tied. We're looking to go into OT, but that's from a fan's perspective. We were like, let's get this to OT. The Sharks did not have that in mind. All right. The Sharks were like, we're tied up. Let's go win this thing. And sure enough, we get back down in there on the offensive zone. Puck's moving around a bit. Celebrini then finds Wenberg to go ahead and go top cheddar with a great vision. Or Dostal did not have a good vision on the puck, and Wenberg sneaks it by him to get that go-ahead goal to make it 4-3 with 30 seconds left in the game, and the Sharks were able to hold on and get those much-needed 2 points. So, again, after that game, the boys were so excited, jumping around. You can see just the energy in the Shark Tank going. You can see the excitement rolling. You can see all that and more on this particular homestand, and it was so cool to see that happen. And Adam Gaudette, who got the go-ahead win or go-ahead goal against St. Louis, what the Sharks do is they have the Shark necklace that they give for the player of the game. And in great fashion, because of it being April Fool's, goes up to Will Smith being like, all right, and here you go, Smitty, April Fool's, and then gives it to Wenberg, which everybody had a good laugh for in the locker room as Wenberg got the player of the game for getting that go-ahead goal. And as I mentioned, Sharks did go ahead and beat Toronto last night 4-1. We're in complete control the whole game. Nedeljkovic was in there, had a really solid game. Colin Graff got a snipe on the board. Ostachuk, I believe is how you pronounce his name. I do apologize, but he got the first goal to start with. By the way, also incredible good karma for him, I would say, because in the Ducks game, there was a cheap hit on Toffoli, and Ostachuk did not waste any time. He got off the bench and started firing and swinging and got in that fight to go ahead and back up his veteran. And so he was rewarded with a goal last game, and again, the Sharks were in complete control the entire time, got that empty netter towards the end, and won the game 4-1. And like I said, they're now in the position to go ahead and get that second wild card spot. So the boys are buzzing, we're humming, the Shark Tank is rocking. Macklin Celebrini finished with 4 points in that game against the Ducks and became the second most he has as a teenager, the second most 3-point games in a season with 17 games of 3+ points, trailing only Wayne Gretzky, who had 19 as a teenager. By the way, if you guys aren't really hockey fans, just go look up Wayne Gretzky stats if you're bored. And it's mind-blowing what that guy has done for the league. There's a reason he's the GOAT. There's the reason a lot of the stuff won't be touched. I know Alex Ovechkin got his goal record, but there's so many things that Wayne Gretzky has stat-wise that just make you just mind blown. So, but to have Celebrini in the same company as Wayne is truly a testament to who he is as a player, his maturity as a teenager, and I'm so excited that he's a Shark, especially because his father, for anybody who doesn't know, worked with the Golden State Warriors, so he's been with the Bay Area, he's been around the Sharks, he's been around the Warriors. Draymond Green's a huge fan of his when he goes to games. Steph Curry's a huge fan of his. So to see him be a San Jose Shark and to completely change this organization's momentum, to completely change this organization's outlook is really cool to see. And of course, as a teenager, he's staying with Jumbo Joe. So, he's giving him some fun insights and helping him out with that. So the boys are rocking, the boys are rolling. Let's keep it going and let's get into the postseason. So I know this is a long episode, people, so stay with me because now we got some Lakers talk. So we're going to start with the positives first, ladies and gentlemen. As I mentioned in the previous episode, Luka was suspended against the Washington Wizards, and as a Laker fan, I had my concerns in the fact of like, please just don't drop this game. Please don't take them lightly. And this team is trying to tank. They're trying to lose. Let's not help them out and get them a win, you know? And what happens in that game? 41-year-old LeBron James goes ahead and gets a triple-double. And this guy, it's just how you can't fathom what this guy does at his age. He's just a specimen of a human being. It's a testament to how he treats his body. It's a testament to his work ethic. It's a testament to everything. So I know everybody has some LeBron hater moments, but he's been in the league for 23 years now, and has so many different milestones and achievements that I don't think are going to be touched now because of load management with NBA players. So he's going to be having records that are going to be probably set for the rest of the NBA history. If not, it's going to be really interesting to see when those records do get broken. But LeBron with a triple-double, it solidified just the opportunity to continue to grow for the playoffs. So they built to ass whoop the Wizards, and there's really not much more I'm going to really get into in that game because that was an expected win. But the highlight was LeBron getting that triple-double. We're going to go, though, into the Cleveland game, which was going to be the biggest one, I think, between the two, obviously, and for this week going into it. Luka came back, and the boys were humming. LeBron started the game off with the chase down block in typical LeBron James fashion to get the tempo and get the vibes going, get the boys rolling. Luka, however, I want to make sure I read this stat line correctly in his return. Got 42 points, 12 assists, and 4 rebounds. Are you kidding me? This guy continues to get his name out there for MVP. He continues to just be the catalyst for this team. And a big reason why this team is going to have success, again, I'll go into the Oklahoma City game, but it's going to be a big reason why this team is going to have success in the postseason and make that championship run. LeBron was catching lobs from AR and from just catching alley-oops. Again, we have a 41-year-old still jumping as if he's, in his 20s, man.
Jake LaRavia to Austin. Austin Reeves up top. Woo! Here comes Kareem. Look out!
So we had a huge win against Cleveland, which we needed before we went on the road to Oklahoma City. But after that Cleveland game, we had a number of different accomplishments that I think need to be said. One of them being Lakers going back-to-back 50-win seasons, clinching their postseason berth and clinching the Pacific title because the Suns also lost that day as well. So they clinched the Pacific. Hachimura got his 5,000 career points on there, which was really cool. Luka got 15,000 career points in that, and it was funny in the locker room when they're announcing it, the boys are making a joke being like, stop shooting the ball so much. He got player of the month of March and scored 600 points in March. I don't think people really fathom that stat line. 600 points in a month that he was able to accomplish. He finished the month of March with 37 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, which was a true testament of what he was able to do, carrying the team, being that leader for us, and putting ourselves in a great position for the postseason. Now, also an incredible accolade is J.J. Redick became the first coach since Phil Jackson in 2010-2011 to win 50 wins back-to-back seasons as a Laker head coach. So huge shout out to JJ Redick. Again, I know it was very controversial for him to get the job to begin with because he didn't have any coaching experience except for coaching his sons and going straight from 8-year-old AAU coaching to the NBA and the Los Angeles Lakers for that matter. But it was a really cool moment in the locker room for him to get his 100th career victory and have his sons do a tribute video to him, congratulating him. You can tell that really got him choked up. I don't know. For me, it gets me in my feels when I see players or coaches get accomplishments and achievements and have their children go ahead and do a tribute video and a congratulatory video to them, and just seeing their reaction for it. It means the world to him to have his sons give him the love and respect and to the appreciation of their dad. And for him to do this at a coach level is just unbelievable. He is one of the best basketball minds that we have. You saw it when he was working for ESPN, not only doing the broadcasting, but going on, the different talk shows, talking about the game of basketball in a way that really was articulate. It was factual, and it came from a place of just, high intelligence, as you will. So for him to be the coach, I'm very happy for him to be the Lakers head coach. And all that to be said, with a little bit more of where the plane went downhill against Oklahoma City, where, again, we don't have to get too much into that game. I'm not running from it, but it was just a complete belt-to-ass whooping that Oklahoma City put on the Lakers. They scored 82 points in the first half. Lou Dort wasn't missing. SGA went 12 of 25, so it's not like he was shooting the best, but everybody around Oklahoma City, as I mentioned before, they are such a deep team that they can score in a number of different ways and they can defend at the best rate possible. So that wasn't the worst part of that game. It was seeing Luka go out in the third quarter with about 7 minutes left after they were down 32 points with a non-contact injury. He is getting an MRI on his hamstring, so hopefully it's nothing too serious. I don't foresee him coming back, at least against Dallas on Sunday. Maybe comes back against the Warriors on Thursday. I doubt that too. I'm just hoping that, it's nothing too serious. And by the time maybe this is released, we'll have an update with him on his status. But again, really, really tough to see, because all the highs that the Lakers were having, to kind of have that unfortunate game where they got their ass whooped, and to see Luka go down like that, it's a little bit more gut-wrenching at times. So again, prayers to him and hopefully his health as he gets a speedy recovery and is able to come back in time for the postseason for this run. So, again, he's still making an argument for his MVP race. So I hopefully this doesn't go too much down. Again, I know SGA was still the leader. We have Wembanyama, and I know I didn't mention him in the previous episode, but Jokic is as well, averaging a triple-double for back-to-back seasons. Again, is an incredible for Jokic. So it'll be interesting to see who ends up getting the MVP going forward. But, again, please, Luka, be all right. Please, dude, be all right, man. We need you so bad. And, of course, it's always again, at the end of the freaking season where a Lakers player gets hurt, whether it was unfortunately AD, whether it was LeBron. It's just always somebody that gets hurt towards the end as they're rocking and rolling. So, but yeah, Lakers still in the third seed right now, still an opportunity to do some damage in the playoffs. Just need Luka to get back healthy and whatever. But a ton of accomplishments along the way. It's still incredible feats that both JJ Redick, Rui, Luka. Oh, and did I forget LeBron James became the most winningest player of NBA history, both with playoff and regular season combined. Yeah, just again, another stat on his resume that I'm not sure will be broken anytime soon. So as we wrap up this longer episode for you guys, I do want to give everybody some love and appreciation again for supporting me on this journey. I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying this. I'm really curious though what you guys want to maybe see going forward and what you maybe want me to talk about. So please comment on all the pages, comment on what you want to see more of, what you might want to see less of. In a jokey manner, you guys are going to say less of certain teams, which again might happen obviously due to the season, like summertime with NBA playoffs rolling around. We're not going to maybe have as much coverage in certain instances with NHL, NBA, we got MLB. So we do have all the sports going on, but yes, it might not be every episode we'll all be covering these particular teams. It might be more of just the sport in general when it comes time. So other than that though, please go ahead, subscribe, comment, and enjoy the rest of your Good Friday and Easter weekend, everybody. And please also go follow my boy Jaws and give him some love and a shout out too. So appreciate you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.